Hello listeners everywhere. Welcome to the Archive of Audio Antiquities, a voyage into the vault of wonders on the wireless. In a moment, Simon Exton and Ken Moss will be here to speak to you.
Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome back to the Archive of Audio Antiquities. I'm Ken Moss.
I'm Simon Exton.
And this time we are listening to the first series of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Arthur Dent never could get the hang of Thursdays. On this particular Thursday, his house is said to be demolished, and his friend Ford Prefect turns out to be from a star named Betelgeuse, and not from Guildford after all. Furthermore, it turns out that the Earth is scheduled for demolition by the Vogons to make way for a new hyperspace bypass. The irony of the situation is almost lost on Arthur as he and Ford hitch an intergalactic ride away from oblivion. First broadcast on BBC Radio 4 in 1978, the series was the first radio comedy programme to be produced in stereo and was innovative for its use in music, sound effects, and won a number of awards. Starring Simon Jones, Geoffrey McGivern, Mark Wynne-Davies, Susan Sheridan and Stephen Moore, this was written by Douglas Adams.
I bought some peanuts.
What?
If you've never been through a matter transference beam before, you've probably lost some salt and protein. The beer you had should have cushioned your system a bit. How are you feeling?
Like a military academy. Bits of me keep on passing out. If I asked you where the hell we were, would I regret it?
We're safe.
Oh, good.
We're in a small galley cabin in one of the spaceships of the Vogon constructor fleet.
Ah, this is obviously some strange usage of the word safe that I wasn't previously aware of.
I'll have a look for the light.
All right. How did we get here?
We hitched a lift.
Excuse me, are you trying to tell me that we just stuck out our thumbs and some bug-eyed monster stuck his head out and said, "Hi, fellas, hop right in, I can take you as far as the Basingstoke roundabout"?
Well, the thumb's an electronic sub-ether device. The roundabout's at Barnard Star, 6 light years away. But otherwise, that's more or less right.
And the bug-eyed monster?
It's green, yes.
Fine. When can I go home?
You can't. Ah, I found the light.
Dr. Exton, I'm wildly excited about this. This was basically my introduction to radio.
Okay, it wasn't mine, and I can remember people talking about it at school at the time, and I didn't have any way of listening to it, because we had a radio in the front room, but it was never used as a radio, and there isn't a cat in hell's chance I'd have got to have listened to more than 2 minutes of this without it being switched off. Not a snowflake's chance. So it wasn't until years later after I'd seen the TV series. So my introduction to this was the TV series.
Yeah, you see, I was only just born when this went out, and I didn't see the TV series. That was in 81. So although I'd listened to audio cassettes from being a very small child, it was only when I was, about 9 or 10. Mum took us down the library, and I don't know why. She must have either thought, this looks science fiction, it'll appeal to our Ken, or she'd heard it, which wouldn't surprise me at all, and brought it home, and that was my very first experience of proper, full-on radio drama. So, yeah, it would have been the late 80s when I got to hear this for the first time on a hissy library cassette, but I completely fell in love with it.
My first introduction to radio comedy was from my nana, and she bought me a double LP of the best of British radio comedy for Christmas one year. It was a thing called We Are Most Amused.
That rings a vague bell, actually.
And it had things like, I'm sorry, I'll read that again, and The Goons, but little sort of 2 or 3 minute snippets. And from that, I got hold of what I could have, I'm sorry, I'll read that again, because that was the one that really stood out to me. And the other one that I got hold of was The Goons. And I remember really quite enjoying The Goons at the time.
We've done a bit of Goons. We'll park that there.
We did the Scarlet Capsule. I think it's one of those things that you have to be in the right mood for. And apparently bored out of your skull in the French Pyrenees, surrounded by relatives who aren't really relatives, all of whom talk shit about you not realising that I can actually understand French. headphones and the goons was apparently the best way to deal with that situation.
Yeah. Anyway, Hitchhiker's Guide. This was the first of, as it turned out, 6 radio series. The first and second series were produced between 1978 and 1980. And then there was a long gap till the early 2000s. Douglas Adams had died by that point, and Dirk Maggs adapted the rest. And the Hitchhiker's stories, for anybody that has read the books, they'll know that these stories are a little contradictory. It's not exactly a glorious whole, leave it. And the radio series do attempt to put things back together and make sense of all the inconsistencies, and for the most part they do work. But the cast for this is really very good. It was written basically as a vehicle for Simon Jones. Douglas Adams knew him very well. In his head, he knew who Arthur Dent was. It was Simon Jones, and he basically played it as Simon Jones. And then you've got the others, Mark Wingdaver, who has been Zaphod on radio all the way through, and the TV series. Susan Sheridan and Geoffrey McGivern were replaced for TV because the producers didn't want just to lift wholesale the cast of the radio onto the TV. And then Stephen Moore as Marvin, the paranoid android.
Let's build robots with genuine people personalities, they said. So they tried it out with me. I'm a personality prototype. You can tell, can't you? I hate that door. I'm not getting you down, am I?
Which government owns this ship?
No government owns it. It's been stolen.
Stolen?
Stolen?
Who by?
Zaphod Beeblebrox.
Zaphod Beeblebrox?
Sorry, did I say something wrong? Pardon me for breathing, which I never do anyway, so I don't know why I bothered to say it. Oh, God, I'm so depressed. Here's another of those self-satisfied doors. Life. Don't talk to me about life.
No one even mentioned it.
Really? Zaphod Beeblebrox.
Now, Stephen Moore, it's notable this because I've heard this God knows how many times, but I must admit, I prefer the TV series. I think it's one of the best pieces of TV ever commissioned. But Stephen Moore is directed very much to slow his voice down on television, and it suits Marvin better than this first series where it's talking at normal speed just in Marvin's voice. I think it works better slower.
Pardon me for breathing, which I never do anyway, so I don't know why I bother to say it. Oh, God, I'm so depressed.
Yes, I see them as two different things, and I think of them as two different things, and I enjoy them as two different things. If you had to push me for which I prefer, it's the TV series, because that's the first instance of it. But I can absolutely listen to this without reference to the TV series. And particularly when we come on to later on and you've got things like the Lintillas and the Elitnils and the shuttle that's been there for 3 million years with the crew and passengers is in suspended animation because they're waiting for their delivery of lemon-scented moist tissues. All of those things didn't translate to further TV series. But I absolutely love this. I think this is brilliant.
I do have a very obvious question. And it's only listening to this for the podcast that I've realised it's so obvious. Why haven't I asked it before? Why does Zaphod refer to Ford as Ford?
Because it's his name.
No, it isn't. Because before he even appears, the book says that Ford Prefect was a nicely inconspicuous alias.
So he's taken it on as a name, and while he's been on Earth using that name, has met up with Zaphod, because we know that Zaphod's been on Earth, and Ford Prefect had been there for 15 years or so, whereas the party in Islington where Arthur met Trillian and Zaphod was only a couple of years previously.
Yes.
If Zaphod was going to come to Earth, then obviously he would look up his...
Except that he didn't, because Ford is surprised to find that Zaphod's been there as well. And there's no scene where... hi, I'm Ford Prefect or whatever. There's none of that. It's a massive hole that I've never spotted before. Anyway, tiny aside, I just thought it was interesting that I'd never bloody noticed.
I'm not sure it's a massive plot hole, to be perfectly honest.
Well, it's not a hole, it's just a menu. It's certainly not the only bump in the road where Hitchhikers is concerned. The whole of the second series doesn't actually happen at all when you get to the start of the third. It's all Zaphod's dream in the Total's perspective vortex. We're not supposed to be discussing the first series. I mean, it surprised me to find that the radio series came first and then the books came later. So it was basically novelized rather than being a book that was adapted for radio. And 5/6 of it are what you see in the TV series. It's only episode 6 where the whole stolen spaceship and the end of Marvin, Zaphod and Trillian is completely at variance with what we saw after that. But the reason for that is that John Lloyd wrote most of episode 6, and once it was novelized and put on TV and everything after that, all that stuff with the Agamemnons, that was all excised completely. And Douglas Adams wrote his own variant on it.
Eat your heart out, Galapagos Island.
Chief Boss, you know what that is?
Let me guess. Horrible. I'm a war.
It's a carbon copy of the ravenous bug-blatter beast of Trial, and I'm a Vogon's grandmother.
The ravenous bug-blatter beast of Trial? Is it safe?
Oh, yes. It's perfectly safe. It's just us who are in trouble. If that's the Admiral and he still wants his coffee, it ain't sponge fingers he's going to dunk in it.
Throw some furniture at it.
Get in the escape capsules!
Arthur and I'll take this one. Zaphod, you and the others take the left-hand one.
Right!
Press the go stud, Arthur.
Which explains why Marvin survives, and in the third series he's got a peg leg and his arms welded to his side from diving into the sun, which never happened.
Okay, we will come on to that when we do the subsequent seasons. This is going to be a really dull and short episode because I absolutely love it.
Like everything we love, we gush and don't really forensically examine. It's been such a constant, this. It's one of those things I can just keep coming back to. I think the first series more than any of the others. I've got a real soft spot for the third series because that was the first thing broadcast when I moved into my first house. But this first series, I think I love, of all the Hitchhiker stories, pretty much more than any of the others. And there's also, and it isn't this, but there's a line yelled by an extra as Earth's being destroyed. Why don't you push off, you crud-faced old bat? It's always sounded to me like you cunt-faced old bag.
Perhaps it was supposed to.
It was very skillfully done for Radio 4 in 1978.
Welcome, refreshment and sanitary relief for every weary traveller on his way.
Why don't you push off, you cunt-faced old bag?
Shall we just make this very quick? This is fucking marvellous. It doesn't have a single flaw. This is 137 million out of 10.
Well,
woohoo.
We best rate it in earworms on a slightly smaller scale.
This is the song that never ends. Yes, it goes on and on, my friends.
I'm assuming this is going to be a 10 out of 10 as it is from me.
No, this is a 20 out of 10. Yes, this is a 10 out of 10. I absolutely love it. It is utterly flawless. And be gone with you with your continuity nonsense.
Can you imagine?
Flawless.
And they'll continue singing it forever just because.
Well, it's time for something completely different. It's Podcast of the Week. I'm going to recommend a radio series from Radio 4. It's Room 101.
My guest is here to persuade me to banish the items on his list to a place where they'll never be seen again. This is Room 101.
Now, this has gone through a few iterations. It started on Radio 5, hosted by Nick Hancock. Quite a primitive, famous guest on what are your likes and dislikes. In they go into Room 101, and then it was translated to television with Nick Hancock. And it was, again, that very simplistic, almost interview format on the dislikes of celebrities. It went through a few different iterations. They could never get their head around what a theme tune should be, although I still think the first TV theme is best. But it eventually came back as a panel show with Frank Skinner and went off air, and it's gone back right to its roots. Paul Merton, who was one of the TV hosts, he's obviously pitched to Radio 4, and it's gone right back to that simple guests talking about their dislikes, bit of comedy, half an hour of fun, and it's far better on radio than it was ever on television or in its earlier radio form. 3 series in so far, and they're all on iPlayer, but Room 101 with Paul Merton, that would be my pick for this week. It's just half an hour of fun. Are you familiar with it?
No, I've never heard the radio. I've seen the TV series, and it's quite fun in a forgettable kind of way.
I think the one guest for half an hour is a better format.
So kind of like an anti-Desert Island Discs.
Yes, basically. We've actually got a slot in for our next episode. It wasn't on the list, but we've listened to it purely because we just fancied it. Dr. Exton, what is it?
It is the Second Doctor Big Finish adventure, The Home Guard.
I've been meaning to do this for ages, so you've given me a kick up the arse to listen to the thing.
I'm sorry about that.
I'm not, but we'll talk more about it later this month. We usually only do 1 episode a month, but you're getting 2 this month out of us. So we'll do that for Armed Forces Day at the end of June. Until then, thank you very much for listening to our scant review of a comedy giant. But Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, if you've not heard it, it's well worth your time. It's 6 half hours of brilliance. Yes, Douglas Adams, we salute you for this one.
Yeah, takeaway message, it's fucking marvellous.
Until next time, thank you for listening. We'll see you soon.
Bye now.
The Archive of Audio Antiquities featured Simon Exton and Ken Moss, and the announcer was Jenny at Blue Box 99. All featured soundtracks are the property of their respective producers, and no infringement of copyright is intended. Title music was by Edward White, and the programme was produced by Maverick Productions. For more information, please visit maverickproductionsuk.blogspot.com or find us on social media.